everyone. This is Caitlin.
And this is Lacey.
And this is Women in the Trailer Industry. Today we're going to talk about
how to stay ahead of the curve in your industry, really in any industry. This is just a few tidbits that we have found that we want to try to give you guys just for some tips.
For sure. So the first one I say is know your audience. Are they no BSers? That's
right.
Who our audience. Are they simple? Really knowing that and honing that down makes your life a lot easier because you're not having to figure out what they like, what they don't like. And we'll talk about testing in a little while so that you can see what those people like and don't like. But at least you don't have to go too far off base to be able to figure that out.
Yeah, I think for a lot of years, we just kind of spun our wheels because we never really asked ourselves the question, like, who is our audience so that we can know what does our narrative even start with, right?
And we just did everything to everyone, which I think most people, when they're starting up or, they're just trying to accumulate as much business as possible. They're just doing all the things, right? And now it's more like, well, we can still do what we're good at, but only focus on these people. And that's where the bread and butter is, right? And so that's really what we've honed down on and definitely a place that you want to get to be able to, I don't know, maybe get more clarity in your business instead of having to sit there and feel like you're always spinning your wheels. For
sure. And not wasting your time. The one that comes to mind for me is innovating constantly. So for us, things are always evolving, but I always think that, or people always say this too, if you're comfortable and you're coasting, you're already behind. Things are so fast moving these days that I don't even know in all aspects of your job. It's just like, if you're coasting at any point, somebody else is ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, the other day, I created a 30-page ebook in 10 minutes with the new AI and ChatGPT and all that good stuff going on. And it's like, well, that's definitely going to change. So it's like innovate or get out on that, right? But it's just really speaks to how the world has innovated and how industries will innovate while that happens. Because that was an ebook about something relevant to our industry, which is more of a technical industry. So that's really crazy that it can do that.
It is crazy. I think that all of this really plays into what is the key thing, and that's meeting your audience where they are. Know your audience, number one, but then meet them there. So where are some things that they are? What we have found is they're on their phones. Yeah. And that's probably in every industry, right? So how do you meet them on their phones with trailer parts? So what do you utilize? What are the things that you do there?
Yeah. And so, let's just say the oil field industry, a lot of people have sales reps that go to the rigs and do that because that's where they are. And it's the same thing in the digital world. Are you targeting them on the Tractor Supplies of the world? Like, where are they shopping? Where do you need to hit them up, essentially? We know mobile is better than desktop at this point. So really finding where they're at, and then really just kind of advertising to them or speaking to them, messaging to them is a good way to gain their attention. Yeah,
for sure. Social media and email marketing, all those things where people are already there surfing and doing whatever they're going to do. Even like the Tractor Supplies, but social media is a key one to meet them there. So put your product in front of them in that way, be relevant in that way. Use those platforms to your advantage instead of saying, we are the trailer industry. So it's usually, this is no offense, but older generations are buying our parts. So they're not on social media. That's false, right? You got to meet them there, where they are. Another one is don't be afraid to do something different. So our website is what comes to mind for me. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our website, which of course Tyler tries to always be outside the box, is how do we make it as simple as possible? And, when you're in the point of a transition to doing that, it's a little scary because it doesn't seem simple at all. It's like you feel like your customer and then you want to change, and it's really scary because you think it's simple already. But definitely be thinking outside of the box. What's the simplest flow for the customer? How can they get there? How can you I guess, make your listings and your advertising the most efficient they can be, and really just kind of innovate that as well as you go along.
Yeah. And like gain their attention and keep their attention, but you have to know your audience on how to do that first, right? Because we can't put a whole bunch of flashy stuff in front of our customers and then like that. Right. So we have to make it simple, but still keep their attention. What are they looking for? So that's very key. I feel like, that's one way that we really are ahead of the market, because when you think trailer parts, you really think you associate that with like auto industry. So to me, those websites are pretty boring and pretty like heavy in, information, and not like, you can't flow through them very well unless you know what part you need to type in the box for it to pull up. So I feel like, having a flow is what we've really innovated there and stayed relevant on. Is like one of the biggest reviews we get and best ones is your website's really easy to navigate. Well, that's what we want, right? It's for people to be able to get where they want to be.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about A/B testing.
So A/B testing, what's some good tidbits there? Well, like we said earlier, when you are innovating and you want to test stuff out for your customer, you can definitely try one thing for a certain amount of time. And then, even though it may seem off base, try another thing at another amount of time.
Is the fly back? Oh, it's a gnat. So we have a pestering fly and gnat in here.
Texas weather for you. Rain for a week and then 100 degrees outside. But sorry, that caught my eye. I'm like sitting here following it.
Cross-eyed.
Anyway, so just comparing that data to each other and seeing what really converted best, But with A/B testing, you do have to have a minute amount of variables. Like you can't change 30 things and then expect to know that one thing you changed works. So try to increment it, try to measure, and make sure that you're not changing a bunch of other things to accomplish that one goal.
Yeah. Some of the things that when we talk about things to change, some of those things you can change in your advertising or your email marketing or social posts, whatever that is, your fonts or your colors or even the placement of your buttons or what your button says, right? So those are really
pictures.
Or your pictures. Yes. How do you group your products? Those are kinds of things, but you don't want to do that all at one time. Like Caitlin said, you want to make sure that you're doing like one thing at a time. Whatever you think is going to be the best foot forward, try that first, see what your feedback is, and then move from there. But those are just some of the examples that we kind of play with here, is like, especially the buttons. The buttons are a big deal. Like call to actions. What do they say, and how do you access that?
Right.
Fly killer. Way to go, Will. So for another one that I had thought of is for fulfillment. Like what are some things that you can get ahead of the curve on fulfillment purposes? And this really comes from your pain points that you find. How do you get ahead of that and be ahead of the curve in industry on being the best you can be at that? Some of the things that I thought about was putting your propaganda or your cards or whatever that is in your fulfillment boxes. What is that you're sending to the customer so that when they open their box, what feel did they get? What is some other things?
On the constantly innovating side, I think a lot of that does come from when you have issues, discover how do you solve it, and that's really what makes the customer happier. If one customer is having problems with damage, then I'm sure others are. Yep. So really just correcting those problems. I think you could get ahead of that by correcting other problems that are similar to that. And then even on the back end, just figuring out how to, manage all the data and make sure that flows to the customer as well.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that we have kind of like a cool thing that somebody that works with us or for us has done and kind of innovated himself way back when he first started is, in palletizing a freight shipment, he found a new pallet that he could make to make sure that our products specifically get to the customer undamaged, because in your regular pallet size, they were getting damaged a lot. So, the issues that you find, what are you going to do about it? So making these custom pallets almost is what we found and has worked for us for years. That one innovation has changed really like our returns that were coming due to damage or what money's lost on that.
Sure.
The last thing that I have is just to watch the market. Do a quick Google search. You're going to see what people are doing. You're going to see what direction they're going, and they may not have it all whooped, but you're going to know like, all right, this is what people are doing. This is how I need to gauge how quick I need to get my stuff done to be ahead.
Yeah. And like our competitors coming up, or where are your customers looking at now? Like, is that changing? And then also kind of like our FedEx reps said, you know, really find a KPI, industry KPI that you can follow and see, okay, if their metrics are going up, then I know I can forecast my up. But if they're going down and I historically trend down with them, then I'm going down.
Yes.
So, you know, he even suggested, and it is a good suggestion, really finding one of those KPIs, and it may be some work, but if you have that, you can make smarter purchasing decisions, buying decisions, selling decisions, advertising decisions, etc.
Absolutely. Yep. So these are just some of the tips that we have. We wanted to give to you guys kind of what we have found. I'm sure that it can be, you know, generalized into any industry really. Really, it's just finding the issues that you have and what are people doing? How do you get ahead of them so you can be number one in the market? I mean, I think that's everybody's goal, right?
Yeah. Well, we have NATDA coming up. It is August 29th through August 31st. Super excited for that. We're going to have women in the trailer industry and Full Send and a live podcast in the Trailer Parts Expo. So that's going to be super exciting. We also have a Women in Business Roundtable with Women in the Trailer Industry Committee. And we just announced the new committee on another episode. So go check that out. But that'll be so fun. Excited to network with everyone. Excited to meet everyone and just really ready to rock and roll and, you know, get prepped for 2024 because it's almost here once we hit the trade show. But, you know, really in this together, there's a lot of opportunity out there. We don't have to be competitors. We can all be partners and really just try to all eat.
Yeah, that's right. Follow us, like, subscribe anywhere you stream your podcast, Spotify, Apple, and then YouTube if you like to watch us, and fly swatting along with that. And then don't forget to watch Juan at Full Send. And thank you guys for being here today.
Thanks. Bye.